Coming up on today's episode of Airborne-Unlimited, another Lockheed accident occurs. Court awards icon to American, German, Chinese bidder. New Air Force One delayed another 1.5 years. Welcome to Airborne Unlimited. I'm your host, Lindley. Let's get into today's stories. Another Lockheed accident occurs, this time in Georgia, with Dan Gryder on board. It's been a bad week for old Lockheed twins, with one fatal accident taking 2 lives over the weekend in California, and another taking place Monday evening, as a 1936 twin-engine Lockheed 12A was attempting to land at Seven Lakes Airport in Georgia shortly before 8 p.m., when it impacted a tree after going off the runway. 3 people were confirmed on board, and all were airlifted to area hospitals, and each are now reported to be resting and in stable condition. The airplane was on a left base for runway 36 and was in the landing process when it reportedly veered left and off the runway, impacting a tree. The cockpit appears to have been penetrated by the tree, which pinned the right seater in the cockpit and an observer in the partially crushed fuselage for some 2 hours. The pilot in the left seat was able to crawl out. One of the persons known to have been on board was controversial YouTube personality Dan Gryder in the right seat, who sustained a number of fractures and lacerations, but is expected to recover. After the break, Cessna Citation Ascend catches eyes in banner test flight.
For over 30 years, the massive Sport Plane Resource Guide has provided expert, credible information, evaluations, and critical analysis of all that the sport aviation world has to offer. The all-new digital Sport Plane Resource Guide is coming with extensive multimedia features that are constantly updated, an even more comprehensive online guide to all things sport aviation. Available soon. www.sportplane.com.
Welcome back. Now let's take a trip around the patch for some shorter stories. Cessna Citation Ascend catches eyes in banner test flight. A few fun pics of a prototype Cessna Citation Ascend worked their way to Textron's social media this week. The second Cessna Citation Ascend P1 first took off as a flight test article late last year and has now become the first conforming production aircraft. Its first true-to-life flight test, putting it through its paces and rounding all the bases, took place this month, with company test pilots Michael Bradfield and Maurice Girard at the helm. The flight took 1 hour and 24 minutes, achieving a max altitude of 13,500 feet and a max speed of 308 knots. Gamma cheers aviation education efforts at Colorado Skies Academy. The Colorado Skies Academy is an innovative aerospace middle school that in May 2024 received its official charter authorization from the Colorado Charter School Institute. It's a tuition-free public charter school dedicated to a unique learning environment for students in grades 6 through 8 and focusing on stimulating a passion for aviation, aerospace, and STEM disciplines. The General Aviation Manufacturers Association lauded CSI for the issuance of the charter authorization. Belgium purchases Airbus helicopters for police and army. Airbus announced that the Kingdom of Belgium will acquire 17 of its H-145M multi-role light utility helicopters. The contract was signed between the NATO Support and Procurement Agency and Airbus Helicopters in a ceremony at the Eurosatory 2024 trade show for defense and security in Paris. The first aircraft are anticipated to be delivered in 2026, and the contract includes the necessary equipment and associated support services for an initial period of 5 years. U.S. Parachute Association moving forward on next-gen parachute seals. The parachutists are getting rid of their old-school lead slugs while rigging their chutes, now that the Parachute Industry Association has given alternatives. The association published Technical Bulletin TB266, stating that they see, quote, no impediment to immediate implementation of the use of the alternative means of sealing auxiliary or emergency parachutes explored by the Rigging Committee, end quote. The results have been pretty nifty for those in the industry who maybe want to cut down on the amount of skin-to-lead contact. The frontrunners for replacements today: a type of pressure-sensitive paper seal, tamper-evident mylar, or a simple plastic plug. Well, that's it for today's trip around the patch. Let's get back to the rest of the news. Court awards Icon to American, German, Chinese bidder. The long-awaited hearing before a Delaware bankruptcy judge has taken place. An Icon aircraft carrying over $170 million in debt was pretty much sold off for less than 10 cents on the dollar to SG Investment America for $15.54 million. The second-place bidder was none other than aviation entrepreneur Lyndon Blue, who offered approximately $250,000 less. Blue is a highly experienced aviation business person with a resume that included time in the sport aviation kit industry, and would undoubtedly have been an interesting and possibly more suitable buyer as far as the future of the sport plane program is concerned. SG Investment America is a recent subsidiary of Germany's Dirkop Adler GmbH, but is owned by Shenggong Group based in Shanghai, China, and from there the legalities get interesting. But regardless, as forewarned by other investors in the company, Icon is now a Chinese-owned enterprise, which they feared would result in the company being relocated there and the IP stripped from the original enterprise for unknown repurposing. The process appears to be pretty much over, leaving the future of the program in the hands of Yongwoo Chen, CEO of SG Investment America. After these messages, new Air Force One delayed another 1.5 years.
Well, hello, fellow pilot. I'm John King.
And I'm Martha King.
You know, we've all had our flying lives disrupted lately.
Well, King Schools is here to help you stay up to date with courses that you can access on your desktop, iPad, or iPhone. If you'd like a refresher or just want to expand your aviation horizons, we have a course for you.
So head over to kingschools.com/Rusty today for details.
I grew up in an aviation family. My dad flew airplanes and flew air shows actually, so ever since I was 3 years old, the only thing I've ever wanted to do was be an air show pilot. It's cliche, but I get to live my dream every single day. I'm currently using the Hartzell Talon, the new aerobatic propeller. It's increased the performance of the airplane. It's made the harmonics balance throughout the airplane so much better. By far the best aerobatic propeller that I've ever flown behind.
Welcome back. New Air Force One delayed another 1.5 years. In a not too surprising turn, the next-gen presidential aircraft won't be taking off under its original schedule, adding about a year to its ultimate delivery timeline. Originally, the program had been slated to deliver the first jet in 2024, a timeline that has slipped time and time again. Now the U.S. Air Force expects that things will be pushed back another 16 months, and there isn't much reason to believe that timeline will be unchangeable. Under current plans, that would put the first new Air Force One's flight on the calendar for March 2026. Recently, the first plane was slated to undergo power on-ground tests, but delays there have pushed that to July 2025. The original contract timeline went out the window with a full reschedule in 2022, which had expected to draw the program out by about 3 years. Boeing's revised timeline had put the first jet's delivery in September 2026, with a year of wiggle room on top of it. The second would have followed about a year later, in early spring 2027. Extrapolating from their other dates, the new 16-month delay would put the new aircraft into service in the spring of 2028. If everything goes okay in the program from here on out, an unlikely bet given past performance. And that's our show for today. You can catch episodes of Airborne on YouTube, Roku, or Fire TV. Just search for Aero-News or Airborne, and don't forget to follow us on social media. Thanks for watching!